The cocky sibling made my wife weep and ridiculed her, so I excluded him from my wedding. My folks believed I overreacted to a joke and my wife was emotional and supporting him. I sent this message. To make my brother feel better, he wants me to apologize, as his mother cares for him. I laughed aloud. This is out of control, and I don't want my family to know. I'm still reeling from my wedding last weekend. My future spouse is 7 years deceased. Together we've endured relocation, job losses, her anxiety, etc. Therefore, we should finally celebrate all of. It was our wedding day. That right? At least till my brother ruined it. For background, my brother 30M has always loved to perform practical pranks on people. Though he calls them jokes, they've always hurt and embarrassed. As a child, he told me I was overly emotional, and I either laughed or got upset. It was too much this time. He talked during our welcome reception. I wanted him to say something honest once. But no. Instead, he plays a fucking slideshow of amusing Instagram photographs of my wife sobbing, appearing weak, or looking awful. He joked that she used to look like a twig but is now better fed when we first started dating. My wife's complexion altered. She cried softly, and my brother joined. He laughed like the funniest guy in the world. No sound filled the space. I was furious. I stood up and urged him to go during his diatribe. Whether he was my brother or not, I urged him to stop. My wife was self-conscious. He dismissed it by stating everyone laughed and I was disturbing the pleasure. No one laughed. No one. When he wouldn't go, I told security to take him. He departed after calling me a drama queen. My parents are furious because I mocked my brother during my wedding. They say I was too furious and should have forgiven him since he didn't mean to. My mother even believed my wife was lying because he was entertaining. Her weeping have continued since. I told my folks we were vacationing. However, my parents keep calling to say I wrecked my wedding and broke up the family over a joke. I know I did wrong, but I couldn't bear my wife's suffering. AITA, did I overstep? Comments dry_sandwich_860 Your parents are causing your brother's difficulties. Not everyone at the wedding liked your brother, so tell them he has turned you off. By not teaching him correct behavior as a troubled youngster, they also tarnished him by justifying his actions. You still get annoyed that your parents back your brother, who destroyed your wedding. It should educate everything. Pitipose. Your brother, not you, split the family. LC or NC with them, honestly. Your family exists now. Focus on it. Changes. Hi everybody, I recently posted about my wedding. Many thanks for your comments and support. Even though it's been a hard week, I wanted to update everyone. I followed my word and informed my family we were going on vacation after kicking out my brother. My wife and I decided to keep brother from doing anything. Spend the week together trying to regain some of the bliss lost on our big day. We took a brief holiday in a rented cottage to forget about the problem. My parents unexpectedly arrived after we returned. They said their main intention was to negotiate. As soon as they sat down, it was evident they were protecting my brother. They said I was overly sensitive and he was just being humorous. My mother remarked, "You know your brother, he didn't mean to hurt anyone. He hurt my wife," and I informed them. I can't ignore it either. Then Dad said, "Family is. You don't ignore blood." And I went crazy. I told them that my wife and I have decided to start a family and that they wouldn't be able to join us if they didn't respect her. They got angry and left, saying I was manipulating them and that my wife was too emotional. The next day, my brother tried to contact me through a cousin we both had. He said he wasn't trying to hurt anyone and would forgive me if I told him I was sorry for making. My wife and I are in couples treatment to make her feel encouraged and know I'm on her side. It's helped me see how bad my brother's behavior has always been and helped her deal with what happened. We've decided to have a small, private promise renewal with only a few close friends the following year to get back to what that day was meant to be. As we said in your first piece, NTA, screw your family. You and your partner deserve to be happy. Pilot_3055 was upset. Plan to have a good life with your partner. Changes. Many of you told me to share this story with my parents. The reaction was mixed, but after giving them the link, I told them to read the post and comments. I hoped that people would realize that almost no one is supporting my brother's actions, but I didn't think they would change their minds right away. My dad hasn't tamed my brother. I now understand why I didn't punch my brother in the face like many of you told me to. Trust me, I thought that in the middle of the moment. But to be honest, I knew that a physical response would have taken away from how my wife felt, which was what mattered. It was hard for me to keep my cool. I didn't want to make my brother happy by looking bad in front of everyone. Ideas and thoughts. During this difficult time, they have supported us. Sad comments that boost confidence. 19563 Your mom's defense of your brother's bad behavior only showed what a jerk she was as a child. You might want to say that both of your parents felt ashamed by what he did. His actions showed your family and the world that hitting a woman on her wedding day was okay and right. Be critical of them. My wife is my everything, and I won't let anyone, not even my family, treat her badly. These people need to understand that choices have consequences, no matter how funny they are. Fox thinks of fox as the old steo. Visit your parents. Go to the ground and pee. That's how I am. I know it's bad. My wife and I appreciate the notes, advice, and sympathy. It's been a huge relief to know that we're not the only ones who feel this way. What do you think the family said? All right, let's begin. Mom, she saw the post. But the comments didn't immediately change her mind. She kept trying to make it seem like a light-hearted joke, and she stuck to her belief. He didn't say anything when I showed him the post. But he did agree that my brother might have gone too far this time. He's still mad at me for being a bother at the wedding, but he seems to understand a little better now why I had to help my wife. I think he is starting to understand that this wasn't just a joke that everyone laughed off, even though he is still upset about how things turned out. Family member. But when I showed my brother the post, he fixed his mind even more. What he said. As you might expect, some people on the internet find humor insulting. He said, people are just too sensitive these days, ignoring the whole thing. He didn't seem to care that people told him how evil what he did was. He was so rude as to say that by putting the story online, I overreacted to gain power. It's clear that my brother is still confused. I really don't think he ever will. Even though it hurts to say. I think this situation might make us less close, which is probably best for now. Where we are. My wife and I are taking some time to relax now that everything is over. We have rules, especially when it comes to my brother. We're working through it, and I'm more sure than ever that standing up for her was the right thing to do. No matter what other people say, this whole thing has taught me who really has our backs. Thank you again, Reddit. It's been a crazy ride. All of you have made things a little better. What the wife said. As a wife, I wanted to say thank you. Hi everyone, reading all the love means so much to me. A lot of people have told me they understand how painful and embarrassing it was for me on what should have been the best day of our lives. I thought I was exaggerating, but your words reminded me that I have every right to protect myself. I appreciate my husband doing that. I've had many different feelings since the wedding, but it's been hard to feel ashamed. Since your brother is illogical and doesn't care about others, I think it's clear that your parents are used to making excuses for him. So, letting him do what he wants is the only way to keep the family together and avoid fighting. The health of everyone else. He broke a rule at our wedding that he should never have broken, but it's one thing to overlook small offenses. It was supposed to be a celebration of love, but his selfish actions turned it into a fight. I've realized that keeping the peace in my family is a code for letting the hardest person do whatever they want without consequences. One of my mom's slaps. I wasn't a perfect kid, but I don't think I was the worst. Playing games on my dad's work computer after breaking in was the worst thing I ever did. There were no crimes, drugs, smuggling, or drinking. It looks like they weren't happy with it. I was about 15 years old. I never called that, so it must have been a mistake. That's for lying, he says. And then he hits me. Please hit me in the face. I yelled out in anger. This is why I don't talk to you. A huge mistake. Turned around to attack me.at29. I was diagnosed with major ADHD and had therapy for my mental health. That was the last straw in our relationship. After getting help and treatment, I told my parents in hopes that they would take responsibility for my situation, forgive me, and fix our relationship. Oh, we already knew, they said. But they didn't want to spend money on you because they thought you would leave. I was shocked. I then told them to check on my sisters. They are perfect, they said. This is part 2. The stories in this post aren't as bad as the ones in the last one, but they're still bad enough for me to remember. I'm 29 years old, and it's become clear to me that my parents were or are selfish now that I'm old enough to go to school. I thought I deserved the punishment for a long time, but all I did was talk back, act lustfully, or use my tools too much. Do you know what teens go through during puberty? Never drank booze, did drugs, broke the law, snuck out, or damaged anything. Getting paint and video games wouldn't bother them. When I showed them my pictures as a kid, they said, I don't like it, why waste time on it? It won't feed your family. You draw this scary monster, but why? Drawing animals that are wolves and dragons. Then I asked, why can't you at least be a little interested in my things? Since I don't lie, things like this worry us. Why should we act like we like it? Even when I tried to like their cars, sports, and food, I was just trying to get their attention or win their approval. Even after I made money from my stream art, they would laugh and say, good luck feeding your family with that. You're too young to find a job. You're so lazy that drawing or playing video games can't help you keep a job. Really a waste of time. You'll never grow up. Because of this, you'll never get married or make friends. When my friend and I decided to go to Texas together, they told me they don't want to help. friends. In later blog posts, I'll share more stories about things they did that I'll always remember. Changes. But I'll be back to talk about more of what they did. This is a very important one. People who hate the R word should be warned that I'm a man. Between 13 and 16, a 30-year-old guy wrapped his arms around me. About your own things. When I was 16, they found out I was acting badly in my room by myself. A normal parent would have talked to me and given me tips on how to deal with my feelings, but they broke my phone, beat me, and told a priest to punish me again. When the PS3 came out, I bought it. I was glad to finally have my own machine. Changes. I'm back with one last post about what happened in January of last year with my spoiled parents. It's likely that the last post is because I stopped talking to you. Because of this, I chose to G. I wanted to give my parents a chance to make things better in their lives. So I called my parents a month ahead of time to let them know that we would be visiting in a week. They gave a lot of reasons, most of which were religious, instead of telling me they were happy for me and making plans, saying that they have too many religious duties to just leave and join me. I replied with disappointment. My wife and I are only going to stay with you for a week. It's been more than 2 years since we last saw each other, and your religious views keep you from making time to spend with us. After going to a restaurant, they reluctantly made time to see my old house. I will always remember these things, using a lot of reasons not to see my wife or even myself. When I got to their house, my sweet puppy Melody was being abused. She was very skinny and had knots all over her body. Even though she was very old, it hurt my heart that she was so happy to see me crying and crying. I didn't want to start a fight in front of my wife, and my parents told me I couldn't bring her with me. In such a country, reporting animal abuse is useless. As we sat down to catch up, they started criticizing and telling me what to do again. They said things like, "You're at different stages of life. Now that you're married, you should think about having kids." I fought back immediately. My family's past ends with my vasectomy. Well, I guess you skipped that stage, you'll never grow up, they said. I felt uneasy because my wife doesn't speak Spanish and most of the conversations were in Spanish. My wife tried to calm me down before I snapped at them. I said, "I wish I could have seen you more often when I was younger." "We wish that too," they said with a frown. "But we were not able to." I asked them to explain. "My extended family would always love me and give me gifts to celebrate my successes. They were always ready to visit. On my mom's side, they scared my grandfather and told him he should never talk to me about my future or chances. It was clear that I was a bother and not wanted with my parents, but they refused to accept help because it would show they couldn't or didn't care about me. Since they played computer games to avoid me, I don't bother them. Then it hit me. My extended family usually said, "Thank you for telling us, fly safe, let us know when you get there," or "Bless you, it was great to see you." But that was the last straw because my parents never answered anything else. I've decided to stop talking to my parents at all times. S.M. Srisri. If becoming an adult means acting like them, I hope you'll see their criticism as a compliment they meant to give you without meaning to. And I hope you'll spend as much time with your extended family as possible to strengthen those ties.